The ice has melted. The roads are clear. It was a clear path to Studio A this morning as we get you set for another big week in American Conference women's basketball. Welcome in to All-American, everybody. Alongside Maria Trivelpiece, I'm Kyle Youmans. So glad you're with us. A jam-packed show today. The best part about this show is that we don't have to do it over Zoom, but we appreciate you guys sticking with us last week in our men's preview. And if you haven't seen it already, go back and check it out. There were some really cool things on there, and we had a great interview with Miles Barnstable from Tulsa men's basketball. Go ahead and check it out. There's still a lot of relevant information there. Craziness on the men's side. The women's side starting to kind of fall into place a little bit as we get into weeks 4 and 5 of conference play.
Well, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I am so glad to be back here in the studio. Zoom was fine. I'm glad we got to do it, but it's much better to be back in the office. I did run into some traffic, so it wasn't a clear path into the office.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
But we made it nonetheless. But to your point about the way that these women's standings are starting to shake up, you have Rice there at the top, but there's some more teams starting to establish themselves, like in East Carolina. Here's the thing, though, Kyle. As we've talked about in football and in men's basketball, the American is chaos. And so even though there's some teams starting to decipher themselves at the top, I think that there's still going to be some chaos within the middle and the middle upper parts of these standings.
Yeah, I think you can really see a clear discretion between those top 6 teams. Those are kind of the teams that I have my eyes on as the contenders. That's who I'm labeling as the contenders in women's basketball. It starts with Rice. My goodness, they are still the real deal. I said it in our preview show after non-conference play. Rice is the real deal, and they have not lost a game. They've won some really tight games, and some of those teams that are in the rest of the contenders group has made things tough on the Owls at different times. We'll talk about that later in the show. But East Carolina, Tulsa, South Florida, North Texas, UTSA. But then you look at the rest of the group, and these are all teams that are trying to work their way into the contenders. I think you've got the middle group, the Temples, the Tulanes, the Charlottes, that are kind of in the vicinity, but just not there yet, and they haven't won the close games yet. Then you've got the bottom of the pack just trying to right the ship at the moment. I'm a little surprised at UAB being as far down as they are. I thought Randy Norton's squad would really have a better start to the campaign, start to the conference late especially, and we'll talk about how things have gotten there to that point initially. But let's talk about the Rice Owls, Maria, because they're the best team in the conference right now. It's really impressive what they've done so far. We've talked about the depth. We've talked about the top-notch talent at the top, and they even have great giveaways with Lego figurines of Rice basketball players, which I think fits the entire narrative around this program right now.
I'm obsessed with that. First of all, if there was a figurine of me as a student athlete, I think that'd be the coolest thing ever.
Incredible.
But if you have some of your teammates as well, you know what it reminds me of? Have you ever heard of like Little People? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you have triplets. I should.
Do
they have Little People? That's what it reminds me of.
The toys?
Yeah,
yes. Okay, let's be very clear
okay,
there.
Sorry.
The toys,
yes.
I think, is really impressive. And I think that is something that you could see, but it's a Lego. That's what it reminds me of. It's Legos.
I like Legos too, but I had more of the other things, and they like could go on the little cars, and you had like houses.
We've got them all over my floor in the house or everywhere.
Yeah. So anyway, I wish I had a mini figurine of myself when I played. The Owls do. They not only have that, they have some great scorers all throughout that lineup. And I think the big thing with this team, Kyle, is the returners. And I think that's what's making a difference. The fact that they were able to bring back so many people who maybe didn't start or maybe had minor minutes who are now rising to the occasion, along with some people who did have an impact last year. They have a whole another year underneath Lindsay Edmonds as a head coach. And I think everything is coming together, and they're just playing with so much confidence right now.
Well, it's the fact that they play as well as they do as a collective unit. That's because we could talk about the individuals all you want. Dom Innes is one of the best players in American Conference basketball. Haley Adams is up there, and Nia Alexis is a preseason all-conference honoree and one of the recent honorable mentions in the conference as well. I mean, they're all playing extremely good basketball. Then you've got Flores at the guard spot. You've got Hayes at the center spot. Haley Adams has missed do-it-all for the Rice Owls. I've talked about her a previous couple of times as well, but that's why they haven't lost a game, because when one group or one contingency of Owls players has a down night, good luck trying to slow down the other contingency of Rice Owls players, because every time you turn around, they're doing something right. They're taking care of the basketball. They're hitting their free throws at an unbelievable mark, still 80+% on the season in terms of free throw percentage. Their turnovers, as we talked about, the margin, the discipline on their offensive end of the floor, all of that plays a factor. Are they the best shooting team in the conference? No, they're not. Are they a good shooting team? Absolutely. And they've shown that this past week, which is why they are so impressive as to what they've been doing. You look at their numbers. Rice as a team shot 22 of 54, so 41% from the floor. They hit 6 threes in that win against UTSA, another one of those contender teams that made it tough down the stretch. If they can add a shooting element to the already incredible depth and well-rounded roster that they put on the floor night in and night out, I don't know how you're going to slow down this Rice team.
And you talk about all the X's and O's. There's all the stats and the numbers that prove how good they are. And you also mentioned that they're playing so well collectively as a unit. And I think the other thing is they've had seasons where they weren't playing well in the regular season. The last 2 years prior to this one, they peaked in the tournament, and now they're trying to figure out how do we do that in the regular season. So we knew the capability was there. We saw how they played in the postseason. They've kind of continued that success that they've had late in the year, brought it to the earlier parts. And here's the thing, I don't even think that they peaked yet. I think that they're still building to an even greater success in the postseason. And I think that Lindsay Edmonds and this squad have figured out what it was in years past that maybe they struggled with during the year, and now they're applying it. And I'm really excited to see what happens come March, because they're going to be a dangerous team, not only in the American, but I'm saying it too in the NCAA tournament.
I think one of the funniest things about what you said is that's exactly what Lindsay Edmonds wants to hear. He wants to hear that she wants to hear that they haven't peaked yet, that they haven't hit their upper echelon of basketball yet, because they're pretty much through the toughest part of their schedule, at North Texas, at Tulsa, at home against Tulane and Temple and UTSA. That's a 5-game stretch against legitimate teams in the conference, and they've rolled through it with some close wins, some not so close wins. They've taken care of business in a couple of them, and now they kind of hit a part of their schedule where if you're not careful, you can slip up any given day in the American, but they're 9-0 through the meat of their calendar. So how do you keep that peak growing? How do you continue to see players take steps forward? And in our conversations with Coach Edmonds, she said that's the type of student athlete they get at Rice. It's not just your normal student athlete, which of course it's incredible to be a student athlete at a Division I level at any platform, but to do it and also be a student at Rice, one of the top academic institutions in the country, it's just another step forward. So Coach Edmonds has shown that previously, that it does matter the type of athlete that they bring in. It's the discipline that they show on the field is the same kind of discipline they show off the field in order to have success in life. And the Rice Owls are have put everything together in a very strong way this season. That's my one worry, is that they're playing too good a basketball right now, and then at some point it's going to see a drop-off. I would not be surprised if they drop a couple games down the stretch that they probably shouldn't, and that may not be a bad thing for Rice. If you go into the tournament with that 0 in the loss column, the target on your back gets even bigger, and it's going to be big regardless because of what they've already shown. But you got to be successful in the postseason if you want to get to where this Rice Owls team wants to get. Right now projected to be an 11 seed in the most recent bracketology, and looking ahead to March Madness, I think they could be even higher than that if they continue to win basketball games and take care of business the way that they should.
And I'm going to laugh at myself because you talk about the 0 in the loss column, and I always bring up how I used to like to lose 1 or 2 series, or 1 or 2 games in a series, because I didn't want to
I can see how this is a place where this could happen.
Do you see where it could happen? Yeah. But to your point that you made earlier about just how many different players can score, can have an impact, I don't know if they do drop a couple later in the season. And again, we don't know. But because they have other people who can step up if 1 or 2 players aren't clicking, I think that bodes well for them into the postseason. There's another team, though, in the American who is right on the heels of the Rice Owls. That is the East Carolina Pirates. And we have a special guest joining us today. This is Evan Budrovich. He is the voice of the East Carolina Pirates, does a lot of play-by-play over there in Greenville. Evan, welcome to All-American.
Thanks, guys. And can we get a Lego for Soar the Eagle? It just seems fitting. We need something to hit the brand, right?
We will ask Tim Pernetti about that ASAP. I'm sure he would love a Soar the Eagle figurine. I think I want one for my desk.
I would take one. We'll just put it right here. It'll be great. I'll set it right here on the desk for All-American.
We'll bring them to the basketball championship.
I'm
making promises that I cannot keep. So let's talk some basketball now. Evan, obviously you've done a lot of work over at East Carolina, in particular calling women's basketball. For you, what is it about this team that has them playing so well right now?
Yeah, Kim McNeil's going to love this because defense has been their staple. And early in the year, they were an offensive-minded team. It was 5 players in double figures. They were putting up 75 points a game. But since conference play started, they're starting to lock down teams, and that's why they're 8-2 in the league. You go back to the year they won the title 2 years ago. They held teams under 60 points a game in that run, and that's what they're averaging about now, about 62, 63 points. So you combine balanced offense with elite defense, and that's a pretty good winning formula come conference time.
Yeah, you look at really their rankings in terms of points per game, tops in the conference still at 73 a game. Then their top 5 in opponents' points per game allowed as well. They're one of just 3 teams, along with North Texas and Tulsa, that are in the top 5 in each of those categories. In our conversations with Kim McNeil, she's always talked about the upper echelon talent like a Kennedy Fauntleroy, like some of these players that have really taken steps forward. Who has been the difference maker for you to take this East Carolina team from a middle range American Conference team, picked 7th in the preseason poll, and emerge as a legitimate contender?
It's very fitting it's a player in the league, but when Kiana Rembert transferred over from Charlotte, gave them some good post scoring. This East Carolina program had My Joyner, who everyone knew as an All-American caliber player. But now with Rembert, you get that post scoring back. I think the unique thing is they've had different leading scorers in their last 5 games. So Kennedy's electric, right? She can run out of the gym. She's so fast and really shoots the ball well, but she's assisting the ball well. Rembert's scoring at a high rate. You know, we talked with Kim before our coaches' calls, and she said, Evan, offense isn't the problem. For us, it's getting better on the defensive end. That's what any coach would usually say. But I like how this team has balance, and then Rembert's presence coming in as a first-year transfer has just added some depth scoring.
It certainly has added that depth. Now, in terms of their losses that they've had in conference play, the one at North Texas I was on the call for, the one against Wichita State at home I believe you were on the call for. So with that being said, what have you seen from this East Carolina team when they have had a downfall, and how do they turn that around going into the latter parts of conference play?
Well, you saw it firsthand, Kyle. Megan Nestor's a beast. That was a post mismatch.
Play.
That was just a tough challenge for them. And when she's averaging almost double-doubles every night, I think those types of players could give East Carolina trouble, right? An elite post player, like any team in the league. In the Wichita game, it was interesting. Pre-game, they honored Kim McNeil for 100 wins. They honored Anjanae Hutton for 1,000 points. They were on a 5-game winning streak. And Kim was the first to tell us. I think the team just came out flat against Wichita, right? You only score 50 points. You hold Wichita, and Abby Cater had just put up 40 in the game before. You held her to, I think, 12 or 13. So they were playing well on defense, but late in that game, the shot selection wasn't ideal. I think, they've had years where elite point guards can make plays late in games. Sania Johnson was a great point guard when they won the title a couple years ago. I think they bounced back well against Charlotte, and that was good to see, right? So they struggled in the fourth quarter against Wichita. They put that game away in the fourth quarter. This is a team that doesn't have that vocal leader bulldog type. They're kind of more shy and introverted, and I think that's a lot of today's generation. But I liked how they responded, because to your point, you're going to have an off night. Rice hasn't yet. They've been incredible, winning 14 straight, but you had that fourth quarter where they struggled against Wichita.
You lead me right to my next question, talking about the rebound win against Charlotte. What was it in that game that they kind of locked back in on to help them have not 2 losses in a row?
Yeah, we touched on Kennedy Fauntleroy. When she's at a great assist-to-turnover ratio, this team is so tough to stop. Because they're prided on forcing 25 turnovers a game, which is a huge number in college hoops, and then getting transition buckets. And Kennedy, she's a 5th-year senior, she's played at 4 different schools, so a lot of experience. And to her credit, when she can work in the open floor and find those shooters and find the post players, their offense just clicks. And in that Charlotte game, a little bit of a slower first half, but third, fourth quarter, they turned it on and had to actually come back in that game. Charlotte's very feisty. They have a good program. But to ECU's credit, they've had success against Charlotte the last 3 years. I think Kim would note that she got intimate practice this week, and they responded to that, right? And, in this day and age, I think you like to see coaches there challenging their players. And Fauntleroy stepped up big time in that second half.
I love talking to Coach McNeil. I mean, she is a hooper at the core sense of her being. So to hear that, that's about what I would expect from her, and that's why they continue to get results out there in Greenville. Now, tough stretch coming up. You got a home game against South Florida, East Carolina taking on South Florida. You're on the call for that game, correct?
Yeah, thankfully the snow is left, so we'll see Coach B come up from South Florida.
Now we're good. Love it. That's going to be an incredible matchup. Now, whenever it comes to after that, you got a quick road trip from New Orleans to Philadelphia. It's going to be kind of a back and forth. What's the key to reaching the ceiling for East Carolina as they go into these next three matchups?
Yeah, that road stretch is interesting. They were very home heavy early in the conference, and even in that UAB game, the very first game of conference, right? They had a game where they had a 10-point lead in the fourth, lost the 10-point lead, trailing in overtime. It's a streaky ECU club. I think to their credit, they've shown an ability. Last year's team lost a lot of close games, and they had veterans. This year's team, they've actually blown out most of their opponents in the conference. Yeah. When the games are close, they've had some trouble. We noted the Wichita game and the North Texas game. In second halves, they've adjusted really well defensively. They'll need to do that, like you said, with Tulane coming up, and then the way Diane Richardson pushes tempo at Temple, that's always an interesting matchup. We saw them in Greenville, and, Kayla Turner takes 20 shots a game, and she's electric, so you can contain her. But, yeah, I think to your point with the new format of the tournament, getting top two is huge. Even being in that top four is dynamic. So for them, just maintaining a high-level play will keep them in that bye position.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be excited to watch the East Carolina Pirates and listen to you on the calls. Evan Budrovich, thank you so much for hopping on All-American today.
Thank you, guys.
Evan's awesome. I like
He's
that.
awesome.
It's the first time we've had him on the show. It won't be the last time.
No,
we have him
absolutely
on the show.
not. Like, he has so much knowledge, and I love listening to him on the calls because you can just tell how prepared he is, and he just does a really good job calling those East Carolina games. So definitely a good guest that we'll hopefully have back on, especially if East Carolina keeps playing like this.
Yeah, one of the voices of the Pirates. I've got some friends out there that are on the radio
one
side.
Of the
so
voices,
I just want to make sure we're very clear. He's one of the voices of the Pirates.
One of the voices.
There's some guys out there.
Yes.
Shout
out to all of them.
Yeah, shout out to all those guys. How about Tulsa and the Golden Hurricane? Shout out to them. They've become a contender in the conference as well as a part of that group that I mentioned earlier. And the first thing, it's funny, the first thing I wrote down in my notes when looking at their film, and actually got the chance to call one of their games now too, smart. And that's the type of term that I would save for Rice and save for what they have.
Right.
But Tulsa is a smart team. They're talented, don't get me wrong, but they are so crafty on the floor with the way that they allow their players to see open looks. They don't settle for tough shots. Those ill-advised looks are passed up immediately with an unselfish brand of play, and I give a lot of credit to Angie Nelp for that. I've always been a fan of her as a coach, of course, having conversation with her as well. She does a great job of leading this program. This is another season where they are going to overachieve from the expectations that were set ahead of time, and I think at some point we have to look at ourselves going into the season and say, why aren't we thinking Tulsa all the time? They have multiple players that have figured out or have earned honorees in the All-American side of things or all-conference side of things this year. And that's after they only just returned 21% of their minutes from last year as well. They find a way to get Maddie Cartwright the basketball. Jade Clack is an all-around player. They have multiple options, and they use that to their advantage.
I'm going to add one more word to smart. I'm going to say polished as well, because I think as the season has gone on, their brand of basketball has become more polished. I think to your point about the shot selection and the way that they play and distribute the basketball, I think that they look like they're coming together, especially with a team with, yes, there were some returners, but there's also a few newcomers. And again, I think the credit goes to Angie Nelp in what she wanted from this program. You take a look at a season ago, we would say they probably underachieved last year and what we thought that they could be. And I think that the way that she's utilized some of the pieces that she has, I really like Dora Toman, the freshman. She just seems
she's legit.
She's just been making an impact in every game. I swear she's the freshman of the week almost every week because of the way that she's been playing. And so I think adding that into the names that you already mentioned, they're smart, they're polished, and we like the term lurking, especially when we talk about Memphis, because Tigers and all that stuff is fun. But Tulsa's a team that they're a little bit more than lurking because they're right there in the top half, but they could go on a run and find themselves in one of those top two spots if East Carolina or Rice falls in the next couple of weeks.
Have you ever polished a vehicle? You ever used like car polish before?
No, that's not a job for me.
Okay, just making sure. whenever you polish a vehicle, and I'm using this because this is your term, when you polish a vehicle, you put a little bit of that polish on a rag and you put it on the vehicle, and it's muddied up, and it's almost like it looks chalky at first. It dries on the paint of the vehicle, and then you take like a microfiber cloth and you wipe it off, and that's when it's nice and shiny and it looks its best, right? Okay. That's the type of polish I'm looking at. Is we're somewhere in the middle of wiping it off the vehicle right now by Tulsa, because they're one of the best shooting teams, one of the best scoring teams, one of the best free throw all-around teams that you've seen in the American Conference this year, but they have a turnover problem. They can't hold on to the basketball at times. So in order for me to say that they're polished right now, I feel like there's ways that they can still be polished in certain areas better than what they are now, because I think they are polished from a scoring element, and that's what you're alluding to, scoring the basketball, getting up and down the floor. The passing is so crisp. It's so deliberate. Right. But then you got to wipe that muddied polish off, and that's the turnovers. Once you get rid of the turnovers, this is going to be a shiny new vehicle for the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. And I think Angie Nelp is getting there. They've seen it in a couple of their recent games, even the win against North Texas, close game late. North Texas is a team that prides themselves in taking the basketball away, of running the floor, getting up and down. They did that, and they took care of business against North Texas in that way. Then they dismantle FAU. They dismantle Memphis in kind of a close game that got a little interesting late, but they still took care of business there. They've got a couple of tests coming up by the time we'll be on this show next. At South Florida, they've got UTSA at home. Couple games on the horizon for them where they're going to have to take care of the basketball. If they do that, Tulsa has just as good of a chance as anybody because of the talent level and their scoring ability to go and make a run in this game. But yeah, I like your polish, and I was like, I don't know if I can say it's perfect.
You're not there yet.
I think their talent level is there.
Right.
I just think they got to hold on to the basketball. I think Angie Nelp would probably agree with me.
Right.
I think she's tired of the turnovers.
I feel like that's every basketball coach's gripe is got to take care of the basketball. And a valid
That's why
one
Rice
as well.
is undefeated right now.
Exactly,
because they take care of the basketball.
So I'm still sticking by my polish, but I'm understanding where you're coming from, where you're saying that they're not totally there. You got to wipe that little bit of grease off yet.
Wipe it off.
Yeah, I'll get on board with that. So halfway to polish. Smart and half polished.
There you go.
There we go.
That's what we got with Tulsa. Let's talk about Temple and the Owls. Had a big-time comeback against the Charlotte 49ers. It took everything they had. I mean, that score bug was nasty in the middle of that first part of the graphic up there, and they go on just an unreal run to close it out.
First of all, this picture is so tough. Like, I know they always talk about Temple tough, but I'm like, that's Temple tough. That is literally Temple tough in a picture. But I think the Owls are starting to figure it out. They're definitely not where they want to be in the conference standings, especially because they've been at the top, usually playing around in those top 4 spots in past seasons. But I think their last 2 wins, this one against Charlotte and then the one against Tulane in overtime, shows me that they're on the right track. Because I think that to have the grittiness and toughness to come back from a deficit like that score bug we just saw, and then to beat Tulane in overtime, they had to tie it late in the game to even get there. And so I think that those 2 games show me that Diane Richardson's squad is starting to play how she wants them to play, but there's a couple things that they need to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you look at what they've done all the way up to this point, and you've continuously seen them get better as time goes on in certain games. I thought they did a really nice job against Rice. They lost that game 65-56 since the last time we were on this episode. But they held Rice to one of its lowest first half point totals of the season. Held them to just 23 points. Their lowest first half output this year was 18 points against Incarnate Word early in November. And so Temple was right on the heels of that. I think Tristan Taylor has been fantastic. She's helped guide the Owls to a couple of wins with some clutch performances in those wins. She had the game-tying points in the win over South Florida, which was a huge win for Temple across the board, 86-83. Then she had the final 10 points of the game in that come-from-behind victory against Charlotte. So she ends up getting named USBWA Team of the Week. She's one of the all-conference honorees. Taylor is the straw that stirs the drink for the Temple Owls, and you're starting to see that drink swirl a little bit more, and everything's starting to come together like you thought.
And the really cool thing with Tristan Taylor is not only is she a great basketball player, but she's also a really phenomenal person as well. And she actually, have you ever heard of Play4Kay? You know,
Yeah.
the Kay Yow. We're actually going to, that's a little preview till later in the show. But she was actually named a Kay Yow servant leader. So that's something that Coach Richardson talked a lot about in the way that she not only lifts people up on her team, but also helps them beyond the basketball court as well. She's really involved in the community. And the thing that Coach Richardson said about Tristan Taylor is she is just incredibly selfless and just always wants other people to be picked up and felt better.
Yeah.
And so I think that because of that, because she's looking at how can I help the team win, that's why she's been playing so well, because she's looking how to lift others up, and by default she's being lifted up herself.
Yeah, all of that is continuing to make the players around her better. I think even when you look at Kayla Turner and the way that she's ranked among the top 50 players nationally, top 3 in the conference in three-point percentage, three-pointers make, three-pointers points per game, that's all spacing. If you've got a player like Tristan Taylor who can score at all 3 levels, and then you've got Kyla Turner who has just done nothing but hit threes, she's going to have open looks. You can't guard them both. So Turner is a byproduct of Taylor and vice versa. I think they kind of feed off of each other. And that's why they're one of the teams that I think are you use the term to talk about Tulsa. I think Tulsa's there. I think Temple is lurking. They got to see a step forward on their defensive side. You can't be 12th in defensive points per game allowed and expect to be legit. They were 4th last year in defense. Right. So I don't know what the change has been. I haven't seen them live yet in person. I might have a chance, I think, coming up this week to see them in person. So when I get to see it, I'll see why they're 12th out of the 13 teams in terms of defense efficiency at the moment. I want to see them take a step forward. I still think they're close. They just got to take that extra step over the top. They've been losing games that are tough matchups.
Right.
I mean, they're not losing to the bottom half of the conference. They're losing to Rice and South Florida and East Carolina and Tulsa, UTSA. I mean, those out of the 6 teams I labeled as the contenders in the early parts of the show, that's 5 teams right there that they have lost to. So something to keep in mind moving forward when you talk about Coach Richardson and this Temple Owls squad. All right, moving on from there, we got a chance to talk about South Florida last time. I know South Florida is a little disappointed in how they've played to this point, but they are right on the edge of being just as good as they are. And I would argue this is still the most talented team in the conference. Yeah. Are they the most disciplined? No. Are they the most consistent? No, as you can see here, even though they're consistently losing by close margins. I know that's not the type of
the way that you
title,
said that.
That's the type of title that they would want to have, but that's true.
The way you say they're consistently losing, but you're making
by close
a point.
Margins.
By close margins. It was just funny.
If we look up at the end of March and we see, or even the beginning of March, middle of March, whatever it is, and we see South Florida getting the banner dropped on a bracket in March Madness in the reveal show, I wouldn't be shocked, because this is still a team good enough to win the conference. People are going to overlook them. Their net is still very high. I mean, they're one of 2 teams in the top 100 of the net alongside Rice. So they still have everything in front of them goal-wise that they've ever wanted going into the year. But the standard at South Florida is not to just win a couple of games and finish 4th or 5th in the conference. Right. They're trying to make it to the big dance. And that's where they've still got to see some things get better in their own right.
And to your point, those losses are all so close. Again, they probably wish that they had them back. But I think that this team and this program is just so rooted in success that, again, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the year if they're the ones hoisting the trophy. Now, I think for them, those close losses tell me something. It just tells me that there still needs to be a little bit more meshing and gelling within this program, because I think, they had their season kind of rocked when Jose Fernandez leaves right before it. And so I think that they're still figuring it out isn't the word that I want to use, because I think that they know who they are as a team. I think it's more of just, can they play a little bit more together so that they can mesh and gel and utilize all those weapons? Because as you said, if you take a look, I mean, you have Carla Brito, who was MVP of the championship last year. You have Laura Putu, who was there. Then you added Eden Battle, Katie Davidson, Stephanie Ingram. Those are really talented players. I just want to see them all play to a little bit higher level because they have the capability to do so.
Oh, yeah. They definitely have that capability. And I think when you look at the scoring discrepancy from top to bottom, I mean, Eden Battle has been fantastic.
Phenomenal.
You talk about 15 points per game. She's averaging 3 assists, 3 rebounds. She's an all-around player shooting 42% from the field. Then you've got Davidson, as you mentioned, Ingram, as you mentioned. Those are the 3 scorers so far. So the fact that you're looking at Brito and Putu that haven't done the same level of production, that to me tells me that it's still there.
Right.
Yes, it's a different coach, but it's still the same system.
Right.
At some point, that's going to happen. At some point, they're going to take a step forward. And it's not like they're playing poor basketball. They're both averaging 8 rebounds and 9 points a game.
I know.
It's just not to the standard that I think we expected from Putu and from Brito to take charge of this team. That's the duo that is the most under the radar right now in terms of production, but still has everything in front of them too.
I think that's what makes it scary for South Florida's opponents, because those two were 2 of the best in the conference a season ago. So the capability's there. They're just not playing. And again, there's, like you said, they're still playing well. We just know the standard that they can be. So if they can get going, I think this South Florida team becomes really dangerous, like we talked about a few weeks ago, like we saw them beat last season as well.
Yeah, it's just an odd.
It's so weird.
It's an odd thing to watch, because even when they were playing, when I saw them earlier in the year with against North Texas. And then you look at what they did on the road in that road swing from Temple to Florida Atlantic, and they dropped both of those. They come back against Charlotte, took overtime to win that game. They're not playing their best basketball.
No.
But you got to find a way to put that behind you and find some level of scoring, because even Eden Battle has missed the last couple of games from a production standpoint. She had the 10 points in the loss against Florida Atlantic. She had 12 points in the loss against Temple, rebounded well against Charlotte with the 21 points. And that's the type of production that she's needed to have for this team in order to have success. But I can't put it all on Battle's shoulders. I also think they're not hitting the 3 ball very well. I mean, they won 4 straight games they're not allowing the 3 ball at the moment. So that's good. The perimeter defense has been there. The Bulls have won 4 straight games, allowing 4 or fewer made threes in each of those games. That's one of their longest runs in the program's history. So if they're able to continue to guard the perimeter the way that they have, that's one step in the right direction that they can use as well. Mentioned North Texas a moment ago. This is another team that's just trying to figure it out, and they are, again, losing by a consistent margin, and it's a close margin as well. They are in every game they've played.
Right.
Period. The largest loss actually was against South Florida in that game that they had on the road down at the Yuengling Center. Their wins, though, have been really impressive, even against high-level competition in the conference, too.
And it's another team. It's so hard when we talk about American basketball because, especially on the women's side, there are a few teams that are deciphering that they're at the top, but this middle of the pack, I feel like
they're all going to beat up on each other.
Yeah, we're sounding like a broken record, but it's true because as you see right there with the stats, they're winning by a lot, they're losing close games, and I think the biggest question that we keep asking is in those close moments, how do you win those games? Because that's going to be the separator between the teams at the top and the teams in the middle, and I think that if the coaches of these teams that we're talking about sat down and had a powwow, they'd all have the same question and trying to figure it out as well, because I think that it takes something more than just the skill on the court. It's that inner grit and fight that you have, and I think that North Texas has shown it as times. It's the premium gas only.
Yep.
But then sometimes they just fall short. So I'm going to flip the question on you here. What do you think is the reason for the just falling short in the games that you've seen?
It's a little different for everything. They've got a couple of different ball handlers late in games. They're trying to figure out who their go-to ball handler is because they are without TK Hammond. She's no longer with the team. Micaiah Chase is not a young player. She's a junior that transferred in as a junior college All-American, was never a point guard, never had to be given the point guard role and has had to take that over as well. Jazzy Owens-Barnett is kind of the veteran point guard of the group. They have a lot of youth on their team, too, that they're good with. They really like Cherie Spencer. They really like Shania Price. They have all these different elements, but it's not just one player that can take over. And Asia Proctor's probably been the closest there. Megan Nestor's been incredible from a defensive and a rebounding sense. And she scores a lot of points, but it's still, you need some level of guard play to supplement what happens in the post, because then Megan Nestor's still going to take on 3 or 4 defenders at one point, which she can do because she's that good, but you can't put that type of pressure on her. So it's a couple things, and I think Coach Burton would agree that it's a couple things that they could do better. I know he's probably seen them as underachieving, losing 3 of their last 5, but they are through the meat of their schedule. They've got some tough ones on the horizon, but still winnable games from that point forward. At Temple, at Rice this week. Then you turn around, you get Tulane at home, UAB at home. You go on the road to Charlotte. You're at home against UTSA on a return trip of a game that they felt like they should have had. UTSA came back late to win that basketball game, and we'll talk about the Roadrunners in a minute. But they get the return trip of that, the return trip of South Florida later in the month, and then they go on the road to Wichita State. I'm going to make a bit of a statement here. They're a contender for a reason. I've said that a couple times today. That's my word of the day, is contenders. They are. It's like Traders, like the show that everybody's been watching recently. I'm all over it. I love it.
I'm kind of locked in.
Okay, me too.
Okay, sorry, we'll get back to that.
These are the contenders, and if I was looking at the top level of the conference, this is the edge of it. North Texas is the edge. They're going to go on a run.
Okay,
it's going to happen. Are they going to win every game down the stretch? I don't know. Probably not. But they're going to see a lot more W's than they see L's as time goes on, because I think they are a team that's right on the cusp of it all. They just got to win these games against competition like Tulsa, like UTSA, like South Florida, and they're going to have a chance against a couple of those later on in the conference.
I'm not disagreeing with that statement. I
think they're going to go on a run.
I could see them going on a run. I think that the thing with Coach Burton is he builds a good culture in that program, and I think they're really bought in. Yes, and I think that's why he's seen success, especially early in his time at North Texas. Now, there's another team that I think could go on a run, or it could completely go the other way. I agree with you here too. I'm still undecided, and that's UTSA, because I've seen them play really well, and then I've seen them play very bad.
Can they score?
Yeah. That's a good question.
They can play defense better than anybody, but can they score?
And I think they still haven't figured out how to replace the loss of scoring from Jordan Jenkins.
Sure.
And I think
it's impossible to do so.
No, it is impossible. There's not one player that can do it, but I haven't even seen a conglomerate of players kind of chip in to replace some of that scoring. And as you said, the defense is there, but where they struggle is the fact that they can't score the basketball at times. And then even if they're playing great defense, all it takes is a quick run from the other team to put them in a big deficit, and they haven't been able to climb out of some of those deficits.
Yeah. Look at I was just talking about that comeback that North Texas tried to complete against UTSA. UTSA dominated defensively for 3 quarters, allowed 11 points in the first, 8 points in the second, 9 points in the third. They went into the fourth quarter having just absolutely annihilated North Texas in their offensive attack. However, because they struggled to score consistently, North Texas explodes, puts up 36 points in the fourth quarter, and they took a lead late in that game for a reason, because UTSA struggled to find a consistent scorer. They just started feeding Cheyenne Rowe because she was the one player that could find the bottom of the net, and she did. 12 for 18 from the field, finished with 27 points. Would you like to see how many players from UTSA outside of Cheyenne Rowe finished in double-figure scoring in that game?
Yes, hit me up with it.
Zero.
There
wasn't a single other player that had more than 10 points in that game other than Rowe. You got to find somebody else. And we've talked about Ariana Hardaway on this show. We've talked about Mia Hammonds on this show. There are talented guards, talented players on UTSA. They're not Jordan Jenkins. They're not dominant forces. But if you're Karen Aston, you feel really good about what you've done defensively.
100%.
You feel like there is a lot of meat left on the bone from an offensive standpoint, because you're 12th in scoring. You haven't won the big games other than that North Texas game yet. And I think this UTSA squad, like you said, it's one way or the other. And at some point, you are who you are from an offensive standpoint. We're halfway through conference play, and what they are is a mediocre scoring team and an elite defensive team. My gosh, they are so good on defense, and that's what's so frustrating, I think, for a lot of these fans. You lost against Memphis because you couldn't score. Finished with 40 points against Memphis. You lost against East Carolina because you were held to under 60 points. And South Florida just kind of beat you in both ends of the floor. So this is a team that, like you said, it can go very well. It can fall off the deep end. I'm kind of in the middle there. I'm interested to see where they're able to go from here.
I don't exactly know where it could go, and you made the points as why it could go one way or the other. Just to look at the scoring, they only have 2 players averaging over double figures, and that's Ariana Hardaway and Cheyenne Rowe, who we just talked about. And so I think that, you know, if you only have a small amount of players scoring in double figures, but you have like a Jordan Jenkins who alleviates some of that, it's really frustrating. And I think one of the hardest things to do in basketball is play really good defense, especially against some of these offenses that we've seen in the American that can shoot the basketball, score the basketball. And so you're doing the hard thing really well, and it's kind of exhausting to do the hard thing well. So you have to find ways to add points on the board. If they do, and I don't mean somebody needs to become Jordan Jenkins. No. I just mean, like, you know, in a game, having 3 or 4, maybe 5 people getting close to double figures at some point or the other. But yeah, I don't have a statement like you had for North Texas, because I do think they could go on a run. If they figure out the offense, the defense is phenomenal. But if it goes the other way, we're talking about a completely different UTSA team than we were a year ago.
They don't need to score 80 points per game. If you can get close to 70, you're going to win a lot of basketball games, because you're holding teams to 50 points, 60 points. I mean, you're going to be in every game from that point forward. Ariana Hardaway is the one that I'm looking at, because she is averaging double figures, but she went on a tear in December. January, not the same level of success. She was still really good. But I saw her against Baylor, had that game earlier in the year. She had 15 points, 5 assists against a top 10, top 15 team in the country. She can do that there. She can do that against some of these other mid-level American foes. So I want to see her become right there with Cheyenne Price. Those two need to be the dynamic scoring duo. And then you get one, excuse me, Cheyenne Rowe. I'm thinking of different players.
What, Cheyenne like you Rowe, call a lot of basketball games or something? What?
Cheyenne Rowe, you need to be right there with both of them. If they're able to hit those two, then all of a sudden you've got a dynamic duo that you can rely on from a scoring standpoint. Then you add one more to the mix. Your defense takes care of the rest, does everything you need to do from there. But UTSA, still really good squad. We talked about coaching. I think Karen Aston's one of the best in the country, not just the American Conference. This is a women's basketball conference that is blessed with great coaches and across the board. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on their airwaves. I genuinely think this is a really good coaches conference. We'll see what we think about the men's coaches at different times. But we're going to see when we get to March, a lot of these teams are going to be playing their best basketball because that's what they're aiming for. Right now is a lot of feeling it out. If you're UTSA, you know where it's at. You got to score.
Yeah, and to your point about the coaches in this league, I think it's been so cool to see how they love on their players but also hold them to a higher standard and keep them accountable. And I think creating those types of cultures is why we're seeing a lot of teams peak at the right time when March comes. So it'll be an exciting time come March, but it's an exciting day today because you know what it is?
What is it?
It is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. We love it. And we're doing a women's basketball show on National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So I feel like everything is tying together. And later on today, there's going to be a National Girls and Women's Sports Day broadcast. I'm going to hop on a plane, go to New Orleans, and we're going to do a ton of stuff because it'll be myself, Dorian Kraft, and Tiffany Idu all on the call. So an all-female broadcast crew.
Let's go.
All-female broadcast crew.
That's awesome.
2 female head coaches. We just talked about the coaches.
Yep.
And then 2 women's basketball teams duking it out.
Who are the officials? Are they all female officials?
I don't know the answer to that
cool.
question. That'd be really cool.
Maybe we get lucky and that's what it would end up being.
Yeah,
I hope so.
That's like beyond my powers. I can
That's the NCAA powers.
Yeah, right. And another cool thing is obviously National Girls and Women in Sports Day is honoring females at all level, right? Yeah. And just getting more girls involved in sports. But to the point about the all broadcast team, every single one of us also played a college sport. Ooh. So it's like we're having so much fun with women in sports and
That's awesome. Congrats on that. Yeah, we got to get ready to get out of here because
I know
you got to catch a plane and go get down to New Orleans.
I hope my flight's okay.
Devlin Fieldhouse better be rocking. If you're in New Orleans tonight, go to Devlin Fieldhouse. 1, it's a great venue. 2, it's going to be an awesome game. And 3, you got National Women's or Girls and Women's in Sports Day. Come on now. Got all sorts of fun stuff here.
I will say, whoever named National Girls and Women in Sports Day, like, I love that there's an acronym for it, but it is very difficult to say.
It's tough to say.
There's a lot of words in that.
What is it? NGWSD.
SD, yeah.
There you go. Just
Okay.
write that down.
That's
and
what
make
I
it to
do.
Devlin Fieldhouse.
Yes, we'll certainly do
That's
that.
one of the great causes that the American and really the country has dove into. The American also putting a little extra emphasis on Play4Kay this year too. I think this is a really cool initiative of as well, honoring Kay Yow and what she did as the longtime head coach at NC State, and of course she's a Hall of Famer for a reason. And she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1987. She had 22 years of fight through breast cancer, and she was on and off with her treatment, and then until 2009. And of course, Kay Yow, we miss her so much. And Play4Kay has become really a cool thing in college basketball, and it happens every year. It's kind of like the Jimmy V Foundation and the push for Jimmy V's research and how to find a cure for cancer. But Play4Kay does a lot of that as well.
Well, it's been really awesome getting to talk to a lot of the coaches around the conference. We talked to Diane Richardson, Lindsay Edmonds. Lindsay Edmonds actually had a stint at NC State. That's where Kay Yow coached.
Yeah.
She wasn't there at the same time, but still just the emphasis that the Kay Yow Foundation and Play4Kay is at NC State, and Diane Richardson knew Kay Yow very well, and they just talked about how she was such a servant leader, what she gave to the game of basketball, what she gave to other people, what her fund now gives to others. And so it's so cool to honor her, but it's also awesome because the American as a conference has come together as well to honor the Play4Kay fund, and all the women's basketball teams have a goal to try to raise a total of $25,000 during their Play4Kay games, and each team is trying to beat each other out to see who could raise the most money. And so if you go to the Americans website, you can see where you could donate if you would like as well. But it's just a really cool cause because you talked about what Kay Yow meant. Now we're having these games where teams are playing each other, and then they're also duking it out not only on the court, but in trying to raise enough money for a really good cause.
Yeah, you can support the Kay Yow Cancer Fund and the team of your choice in the American Conference by making a donation on the QR code that we're going to put on the screen here. You can give credit to a fundraiser and your team's logo. So go ahead, donate, scan that QR code. It's really easy. Open up your phone app, your camera app on your phone, and then scan it. Click the link down there at the bottom and submit your donation. You can also visit theamerican.org/play4, the number 4K, K-A-Y. So theamerican.org/play4K. Full game schedule and information available as well. As we take a look at the schedule as well, here is our schedule for the American Conference moving forward. Some really good games on the horizon. I know I'm going to have my eye on Evan's broadcast in that one. South Florida, East Carolina. Cannot wait for that.
I am stoked for that one. Two teams, that South Florida team that we want to see play to their level, and then East Carolina team that's been playing so well. I'll be tuned into the Charlotte-Tulane game because I will be there, so I hope everybody follows along with that one as well. I think that Tulsa-UTSA game is one of interest for me, Kyle, because I want to see, can UTSA find that offense? And Tulsa's been playing so well. Can they get the full polish here against UTSA and take care of the basketball?
They're going to need to take care of the basketball against that defense. You cannot waste possessions against UTSA and how good they are in terms of field goal percentage allowed and things like that. Now, North Texas, Temple. I thought earlier in the show, I was like, I think I'm going to get to see Temple this week. That's great. This is a road game, so I won't. That's unfortunate, but I will be watching on ESPN Plus for that matchup. 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern time, North Texas and Temple. Let's go to page 2 whenever it comes to the scheduled upcoming the next week of games. North Texas and Rice, always a battle between those two. It was in the first return trip. How about the Tulsa South Florida matchup next Wednesday?
Oof. I'm locked in on that one. I think that, again, my point earlier about South Florida, I still think they're one of the best teams in this league with the players that they have, and I think that them playing this Tulsa team that's really good is something that's exciting.
Yeah, if you're looking for the polish,
I'm looking for the polish.
That's where it's gonna go.
Another opportunity for the polish. That North Texas Rice game also on national TV, ESPN.
Oh, yeah. Didn't mention that.
That's exciting as well. Just getting some more exposure for the league.
No doubt, and those are two great teams to be able to showcase that as well. All right. You got yourself a little interview from this fine morning on All-American, right?
I did. Victoria Flores from the Rice Owls had a chance to catch up with her earlier.
This is where you need to stop. This is a big possession for Rice.
Flores takes it and buries another. 4 3-pointers and 25 points for Victoria Flores.
Rice is on a roll, and we have one of the leaders of the Owls squad with us today on All-American. Victoria Flores joins us now. Victoria, welcome to All-American.
Thank you so much for having me.
You and your team have been so much fun to watch this season. You're on a 14-game winning streak at the time of this recording. So for you, what do you think it is about this Owls squad that has them rolling in the right direction?
Yes, for one, it's definitely the relationship that we have on and off the court. And I think also the experience that we have as a group.
And for you individually, you've just done such a great job being one of the leaders. You had a career high 33 points this past week. What has been clicking for you personally?
Just knowing that my teammates and the coaching staff believe in me and the role that I play on this team, that they need it every night.
This is your second year at Rice. For you, what do you think you did from last year to this year to just take your game to the next level?
Honestly, it's just the confidence and being healthy mentally and physically.
I think the one thing that really stands out about this Owls team is just, first of all, you've returned a lot of players and you see that chemistry on the court, but also just the way that you're able to gut out some close matchups. What is it about the chemistry and the grittiness of this team that makes them so successful in those big moments?
Yeah, you can definitely see that, one, we play very well off of each other, but we play so hard for one another. And I mean, this is a testament to the hard work that we've put in both on and off the court, even before the season even started.
Can you talk a little bit about that hard work and the stuff that you did in the offseason to create the chemistry and the camaraderie between this team?
Yes, absolutely. People think that just putting the ball in the basket matters, and it does matter, but so does building bonds with your teammates matters. And us being able to take the trip out of the country to Greece and to Italy really helped us bond as a team. And I mean, it was wonderful.
What's one thing that you learned about yourself personally through those trips?
Yes, I definitely learned that although I am a person, I like to spend my alone time, there are people out there who can get you out of that shell, and my teammates have definitely done that this year. I've probably been out of my apartment more than I ever have before, and it's kudos to them.
I love that. I can attest that I'm also a person that likes to spend a lot of time in my apartment and enjoy my rent, but it is good when you have teammates who will help you get out, get social, and like you said, it helps on the court as well. Obviously, you were a part of the team last year, not the year before, but the last 2 years, what we've talked a lot about with Rice is the fact that you peak in the postseason. So even if you're a 9 seed or a 10 seed in the American Conference tournament, you're there in that championship game at the end. This year, it looks like you have figured things out throughout the regular season. What do you think that change has been?
Definitely focusing on what we can do today. Coach talks a lot about TNT. That's our motto this year, and everybody has definitely bought into that. So we just focus on what we can in that moment.
For some of the people watching who might not know what TNT stands for, can you explain it a little bit?
Yes, TNT stands for today, not tomorrow. That means focusing on where our feet are. That can be on and off the court. If, let's say, we're in class, we need to be focusing on getting good grades or getting the best grade that we can on the assignment that we're focused on. On the court, that means in that possession, we're focused on that possession and that possession only. And it just means focusing on what's in front of you at the moment and nothing before or anything after.
I think that really shows through in the way that this team plays. You're very present in games. You're very present in the moment. So I'm sure Coach Edmonds is certainly pleased with that. I think another thing that really stands out is that it's not just one player. Like you had the 33-point game the other night, but then somebody else can step up, like Anaya Alexis or Dominique Ennis. How has this team just relied on each other? And when you are having a down night, do you feel comfortable like, hey, my teammates have my back?
Absolutely. And like you said, any night, any game, a person can step up, and that's what's so great about this team. Not only the experience that we have, but the ability to step up and be ready for what's thrown at us.
Now, there's still a lot of basketball left to be played. You have the conference slate to finish out, and then there's the conference championship tournament as well as the postseason. What do you think is the ceiling for this team? How far can Rice go this year with this women's basketball program?
Well, I know we can go very far, but again, our focus is on today and nothing before, nothing after.
There you go. You're preaching what Coach Edmonds tells you today, not tomorrow. Today, we had the pleasure of talking with Victoria Flores here on All-American. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Victoria Flores from the Rice Owls, the undefeated Rice Owls. And you mentioned that there a little bit. Yeah, 14-game winning streak. Rice Owls.
Rice Owls.
The Rice Owls.
They're very good at basketball.
They're good. They can ball a little bit. She's great, both on and off the floor. Awesome interview, as always. All right. It's time now for your favorite.
It is not my favorite.
Your favorite segment of all time. It is back by popular demand. It is time to guess that arena. Maria Trivelpiece, come on down. Let's guess that arena.
The funny part is, if you've been watching All-American, is I am horrible at guessing stadiums and arenas.
Self-awareness is a great thing.
Yeah, and I'm just admitting it. And so our producer, Zach Fisher, and Kyle over here like to do this game to make me look silly. So I'm hoping that I do better because I've been at the American now for a year and a half.
A little bit of time.
Been to more arenas.
Yeah.
Although I was in the football stadiums. Yeah.
That's my thing is we did this last year. You weren't like a brand new reporter in the American at that point in time. You had been to a lot of the arenas that you were getting wrong. So we're going to see if you can take a step forward this time. I'm going to give you first guess.
Okay.
I'm going to let you have first guess.
All right, let's do it.
And then we're going to keep count on who gets them by the end of this. And so you have a chance to beat me just by getting first dibs.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
That's how this is going to work. All right, here we go. First one on the board. Who you got in this one?
Memphis.
You think that is the Memphis Tigers?
Or Tulsa.
It's a really good guess.
I think Memphis.
It is the Memphis Tigers.
Because it looks
That's
really
FedEx
big.
Forum.
Yeah.
It's too big. And you got I think the part that kind of halfway gives it away there is the big rectangle that's put on there to cover up the tiger scratch. Like,
I know.
There's nobody else that has. I guess Tulsa has a big logo at half court. But
the reason I was like, that's really big.
It's an upper deck.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's the FedEx Forum. It's an iconic venue. So you're okay. Maria 1, Kyle 0.
Well, we both got
one
it.
on the
No.
Okay. No. You got it first. It's 1-0. Here we go. Let's move on to stadium number 2. Okay. What you got there?
I need to look this side because my eyes are bad.
Yeah, you got
that's the Super Pit. I know that one.
Very well done.
I've been there before.
Very well done. You've been there a couple times, yeah.
Yes.
The Super Pit, home to the North Texas Mean Green.
Yeah.
50 years of basketball, 50-plus years of basketball inside the Super Pit. Now, Maria 2, Kyle nothing. We're off to a hot start. Let's see if we can keep it going. Here's venue number 3. Uh-oh. Little hesitation here.
I feel.
What you got?
Charlotte.
That's not Charlotte. I don't believe. It is Charlotte. This is their new arena, isn't it?
I've never been
there. That
there.
one you would have actually gotten right before me.
Go.
Nicely done. I have not been that one yet.
I haven't been there yet either.
What was their old venue called?
Oh,
I can't remember.
I don't know.
There you go. Home to Charlotte and the 49ers. Maria 3, Kyle
3-0.
nothing. Off to a great start. What is this one?
South Florida.
Yeah, that's the
I've
Yingling
been there.
Center. Yeah, that one's been there a couple times,
a
right?
lot of times.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. 4-0. Maria's on a roll.
I got all of them
right. Can she go all the way? Can she take care of business and take them all down? What's that one?
I don't know.
Come on, you got this one. I could say something here, but I'm not going to give it away because it would be a dead giveaway.
Tulsa?
Not Tulsa. That is the Convocation Center from the UTSA Roadrunners.
I've been there, but it's
best high school gym you've ever seen.
Are you pulling a penny there with that comment?
Yeah, definitely so. They would say the same thing.
Yeah.
They want a new arena too.
Yeah.
It is The Convocation Center. It's the Convo. Yeah. You know.
I've been there, but it looked different
so
from that angle.
the undefeated record falls to the wayside, but you are 4-1.
I actually knew those. They were relative.
Well, there's another one here. What you got here? Chance to redeem yourself from
Tulsa.
Missing UTSA. That is ECU. That is East
blue.
Carolina, the home to the Pirates.
That didn't look purple. That looked blue.
Yep. That is Greenville, North Carolina. Purple and purple.
Maybe I'm
colorblind
colorblind in addition to my bad eyesight.
Maybe so.
Okay.
So 4-2.
All
That's
right.
not bad.
All right.
Not bad.
How many more do we have?
I think that might be the last one. Oh, no, we did. We got one more. You should have this one. Nothing?
Right?
Maria, there are palm trees on the floor.
Oh, that's what that is. That's
there
Florida.
are palm trees on the floor, Maria. There is a court that is telling you where it's at. It's palm trees.
I thought those were odd marks that maybe they were stains. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Stains? There are stains on the floor?
Now they look like palm trees when you say it. But before I was just like, man, what?
They were on the right side. You've got a monitor right there.
I know, but I didn't know they were palm trees. I liked how I started. I didn't finish.
You did
this
not
one.
finish well. You
I
started
did not.
4-0. You fall
I
to
did.
4-3.
Still a winning record. Still a winning record.
You won. Congratulations. I think I won based off of that last one. I think you minus.
Nothing is worse than me not knowing Lincoln Financial Field.
That was bad.
Nothing will ever be worse than that.
Was
so
really this palm trees one was pretty bad. It was
pretty
right
bad.
there.
It is.
I know, you claim the eyesight thing, but you played college softball. And you have a monitor right there.
Okay, I want to dive. I want to break that down for a second.
Oh.
I have phenomenal hand-eye coordination, terrible eyesight. I'm not athletic. I'm not that strong. I was average speed, but I had really good hand-eye coordination. So I picked a good sport for myself. I was very average at everything, but I have good hand-eye coordination. My eyesight is -575 and -6. If you are an eyesight person and
I do know
what those numbers are, it means my lenses are really thick when I wear my glasses, and I have astigmatism. Just giving my whole medical history.
Glad we went through that.
So you know,
you still have two eyes.
Yeah.
Compared to me. All right, let's get into top plays here. American top plays of the week. Let's start with number 5. UTSA, North Texas, coming down to the wire. Mentioned down, North Texas led late. They lead no longer. Demara Allen with that. Offensive rebound. Second chance points. You got to close out. You got to finish on the boards. You got it done. UTSA gets it done with the win. Big time win for the Roadrunners.
That's a huge win for them, and especially if they're trying to get back in the top of that race, they need to have big plays like that. So Demara Allen, well done. All right, I feel like I'm a broken record on this next top play.
What do you mean?
You'll see what I mean.
Oh.
Just wait for it. Do you know who that is?
Oh, my goodness.
That's Jordan Riley. Again. He just does this. Him and Miles Barnstable are having a cup. But the thing with Jordan Riley is he's been doing it for 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on top plays every other week for the past 2 basketball seasons.
Oh, yeah. He's insane.
He's insane. And
he's a pro basketball player.
Oh, 100%. Athleticism, the way that he can jump. Oh, my goodness. Had to be on top plays.
Yeah, there were a lot of teams clamoring for his services in the portal or trying to get him to go into the portal. He said, no, I'm staying with Coach Michael Schwartz, and I'm going to ride it out in Greenville. Let's ride it to number 3 in top plays. Back to the women's hardwood. How about this? The Rice Owls skip to my Luann Battystone working inside, makes the crafty move, and the Steph Curry layup finish to get it done. I like it.
That was one of my favorite calls that you've had on top plays.
Skip to my Lou.
Skip to my Lou, and then the Batty Stone. You really emphasized it. That is such a cool last name and first name.
And she's a cool basketball player too.
Clearly,
she does a great job.
That's why she's on top plays.
No doubt.
All right, number 2, Rowan Brumbaugh, preseason player of the year. For reasons like this, time's running out, tie game, Memphis and Tulane. He says, I'll just take it the length of the court and win the game for the Green Wave. Made that look easy. Just dribbled through the entire defense and said, I'll do this myself.
Yeah, easy enough. Let me just go coast to coast and win it in front of a nearly sold-out crowd at the FedEx Forum, which is one of the biggest venues in the country. Easy money there for Brumball. I mean, Brumball's one of the best players in the conference for a reason, and you see it there. Give him the ball when it all matters, and he'll take it to the cup.
What? Like
Love
it's
it.
hard? You know, from
Like it's hard.
What is it, Legally Blonde?
Yeah. All right. Number 1 play in all of the land, South Florida, in a tight game with Temple. How about this? Isaiah Nelson on the reverse alley-oop. Oh, my goodness. Get up, Mr. Isaiah Nelson. I've told you before, I think he's possibly the player of the year in the conference. If you can do this, that's another vote in my book.
I watched this live and I immediately pulled out my notes app where I keep top plays.
Just
I was
wrote
like,
it in
top
number
play
one.
number 1. I was like, this is it. When I watched, I was like, oh my goodness. Phenomenal. So there's our top plays. You love to see it.
Reverse alley-oop.
I
I want to see it
know.
one more time. There it is. Oof.
Extra hang on the
Good stuff.
basket too.
I love
Not
it.
long enough though, so good.
All right.
All right.
Another great show. Glad to be back in studio with you
So
instead of
glad to be
over
back.
Zoom. Had some great interviews. Thanks to Evan. Thanks to
Victoria
Flores from Rice. Thank you for picking me up there. Forgot
A lot
who
of
we
names.
talked to.
That's
Yeah.
all right. Lots of
But
things happening
we will be
today.
back next week with another All-American where we're going to talk about the men's side of things that just continues to get muddied up. I mean, there's not even one real front runner in the conference, which means we've got some exciting basketball as time goes on in the American. Be sure to keep up to date with Maria Trivelpiece and her travels. I'm going to just start calling you Maria Trivelpiece because you've got
Seriously.
all sorts of airline miles. You got to hurry up and go get on a plane to go to New Orleans.
I know. I got to get out of here. So we got to end this thing.
There it goes. For Maria, for everybody in the back, Zach, Corey, and everybody who had their hands on this one, I'm Kyle Youmans. We'll see you next time with more All-American.